Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Diane, but you can just call me D. In today's video, we're gonna be doing a sort of mid-year audit. It's not gonna be exactly the mid-year point. We're gonna be looking back at around 7 months really, because I didn't get the time to film this video beforehand. So we're gonna be looking from January until July in the stats. So I hope you enjoy. I do really love numbers and stats. If you want to see where we are coming from, I have some videos from the beginning of the year where I go over last year and what I'm looking for this year. But for this video, we're gonna go over the stats, and maybe I'll do another video on updated goals, where I'm at, and all that. I didn't update the titles or the access titles, so don't pay attention to those. Let's start with some basic stats. This year so far, I've read a total of 14 books, which amounted to 4,738 pages. I believe most of them were hard copies or ebooks. I didn't do only audiobooks. I may have combined and mixed the media format, but that's about it. So let's look at the number of pages per month. So as you can see, this isn't in the right order. Maybe editing me will figure it out. Anyway, so as you can see here, January and April were my biggest month in terms of reading, and that makes sense because in January I had a bit more free time. Not sure what happened in April. In March I read the list in terms of pages, and that makes sense because end of February I got really sick, so in March I was completely tired. I didn't have any want to be reading or doing anything really. So I was still recovering on that, so that makes sense. July is quite low, as you can see. February, July is where it's gonna be at for the rest of the year. I'm planning on reading a couple of books a month, and I think that's what is suiting me at this time in my life, in terms of work, in terms of my second channel of gaming. I'm really pouring a lot of energy in there. So I'm trying to manage different hobbies that I have and make it doable, so I'm happy with that. The next one that we have is the genre. So as you can see, there's an equal amount of thrillers or mystery, sci-fis, and romantasy. So romantasy, it's basically just a term that people have been using recently, but it's really fantasy romance, so fantasy that has some romance element to it, and it's quite strong in comparison to regular fantasy. So it does make sense. I did feel like I was in a mood for romance fantasy a bit more often this year. The rest is fantasy and horror. Honestly, that makes sense. I would like to reduce the sci-fi a little bit, I think, and prioritize more fantasy, more horror, more thrillers. I think that's more so what I'm in the mood for at this time. Less sci-fi. So from the books I've bought, the ones I've read, where were they from in terms of the timeline of me purchasing them? The majority of them that I've read were purchased last year, which I'm really happy about because I did go a little bit berserk buying books last year, and so I'm happy to see that I've mostly read the ones that I've been buying from the year before. I do have a big number of library, and that's also because I've been doing some sort of like vlogs and stuff like that. Also things that were on my to be purchased, but I wasn't fully sure that I wanted to commit to purchasing, so that's why they're in the library. I don't think many made the transition to being fully purchased. And then I did buy a few books this year, so I have been reading them, so that's good. Like I bought a few and I think I read 2. I haven't bought more, but I'm feeling a little bit of a book shopping spree coming, just saying. And I do have, I think it's 1 backlist, so great. In terms of when they were published, I think most of them were published last year, and that's when I bought them, so that makes sense. We really are staying within the 2020 to 2023 range. There's gonna be a book that's gonna skew that in August, but so far, yeah, that makes sense. I tend to want to read what I'm excited about right now. I do have some backlist books on my shelves that I never felt like I didn't want to read them, if that makes sense. So that's why they're there. That's why I feel like I'm gonna want to read them at some point, and I will read them at some point, maybe. And then we can take a look at the ratings. So in terms of rating, you can see that 3.5 was my majority of books. Really, we have like 3.25, so all that, it really amounts to a lot of books. And also, unfortunately, the 2-star mark, there's quite a lot of books. I have got 2.5, 2.50, 2.75. Yeah, there's about 5 books there, so that's still quite a lot out of 14, unfortunately. But I do have a 4.5 and a 5 stars, which I'm glad. Honestly, it's about a feeling. I'm looking for a feeling, and it's really hard to find. So out of the 14 books, I only soft DNF'd one. And that's Little Eve. Honestly, I'm kind of upset about it. I did pay almost $40 for this book. It's not even a new book. It's been republished. It's not great. It's not great. So I'll try to finish it once I get the audiobook back from the library. I'll try to muster the courage to finish it, but honestly, it's quite short and I just have no desire to pick it up. We can also take a look at the prices of those books. So if you see $0, those are from the library. So I've read 3 from the library, so that was great. And I got 2 gifted, so those were either gifted by the author or by the publisher. But you can see that majority, it's between $20 to $40. This is Canadian prices. Books are expensive in Canada, especially if you love, like I do, hardback copies. So expensive. Most of those books were already paid for, I think. So altogether it comes to $234.77 for 14 books. But when you take a look at the average, it's gonna be $16.77. So it's not too bad. However, this is the average, it's not the median, but it's okay, you know. I honestly haven't purchased too many books this year. The next thing I wanted to do is I wanted to take a look at the books I have on my TBR. So as you can see here, the orange books are all the books I had purchased last year, and the green means that I've read them. So I'm doing pretty good, I think, in reducing that yellow. Little Eve I put as on hold because I'm DNFing it, but who knows, I might pick it back up and finish it. The books that are left are books I'm still interested in reading. Most of them, I'm not sure about this one, honestly. It almost looks like the rest of the books are all Brandon Sanderson's. I really need to start the books at some point. I've got so many from him. And then we're gonna skip the red. The red is books that I've had, like I was mentioning earlier, in my backlist, that I'm always interested or know that I'm gonna be interested at some point. And the green ones here are books that I have purchased in 2023. I read 2 books in 2023 that I purchased, so I'm pretty happy about it. And episode 13, stay tuned for October. I'm planning on making a reading vlog out of that, so I'm happy with that. I think that was pretty much all I wanted to look at. Let's maybe do some reflection and take a look at the books that I've read. Here I'm gonna put all the books I've read, and then I'm gonna put the books that I've rated highly, so 4.5, 5 stars, the books that really meant something and gave me the feeling that I'm looking for when I read a book. So those are the books. There's only 2. And then the read versus DNF books. Here you go. Obviously there's only 1 book that I've DNF'd so far. So I'm pretty happy in terms of the average book length. The average is around 356, so I think that's pretty good. I'm reading medium-sized books and I'm happy about it. Unfortunately, like I had mentioned, there's a lot of disappointments in books. So for example, The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Schrefer was a book I was really excited about. I've been wanting to explore the romance sci-fi genre a little bit more, and that's why I had so much sci-fi this year, and I was excited about this one. Ultimately ended up really disappointing me. Didn't love it. The Cloisters was a book that I was really excited about as well. It talks about tarot, it's really beautiful, the setting and all that, and I think it had potential. I think that was more so of a surprise, not necessarily that I loved it, but I didn't hate it, I didn't dislike it. It was nice to read. It was fine. In the Life of Puppets by T.J. Klune, That was kind of a disappointment because it wasn't what I was hoping for. I think the silliness that T.J. Klune sometimes puts in his books was a bit too much for me in this one. It was much more of a plot driven this time around, so I didn't feel as connected to the characters. Ocean's Echo, disappointment. And then Cold Stone Fox, no. The writing style, no. The plot even, not a fan. I think that's pretty much it. The rest were enjoyable enough. Nothing special apart from Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune and Drawn Country by Emily Tesh. I really enjoyed those ones, and apart from my disappointments and all that, the rest were okay. I'm glad I read them. I'm glad I got to them. Oh, Upgrade by Blake Crouch. I think I'm done with his books for a while. I think I'm done. But yeah, I think the rest were okay. I wish I had a little bit more feelings towards the books I've read this year, but honestly it's been a pretty mild year, like you've seen in the ratings. It's okay, you know, I've been enjoying reading when I pick them at the beginning, at least. So that's what matters. But yeah, let me know down below what kind of stats you've had so far this year, how many books you've read, how many books you've DNF'd, have you been DNFing this year, how many 5 stars, how many books really meant something to you. I love books that make you feel something. So whether it's good, whether it's sad, whether it's even bad books, like I like to be able to discuss those books. Whereas when it's just a book that is okay, that nothing is really wrong, but it's not necessarily the best book for me, then I don't really have much to say. Just like, yeah, it was fine. So I like the discussion on the kind of extremes of that. So if you enjoy stats and if you enjoy this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, and if you want to see the follow-up video that I'll do about my goals, make sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys.